Hello, true believers. Welcome to another edition of BK's Bullets. My name is not Brent Casina. My name is Jim Afanis, and from time to time, Brent asked me to review comic books for you. Today, I'll be taking a look at Justice League America's Tower of Babel. Now, before I get into the review, there's a couple things I'd like to point out. Number one, please make sure to comment, rate, and subscribe as it helps out Brent's channel of YouTube monetization and his personal goal of world domination, because he puts out some really good stuff on this channel and he does not get the attention that I think he deserves. Number two, I will be getting into spoilers. So if you have not yet read Tower of Babel, stop this video, save it for later, and come back to hear my reactions on the story. I don't want to ruin it for you, and I definitely think it's one that you're going to enjoy reading. With that, let's talk a little bit about Tower of Babel. Now, what I really liked about this book in particular was that it frames Batman as a villain, and very infrequently, at least in the books that Brent has let me read and what I know of Batman as a hero, very rarely is he portrayed in that light. And I think this comic book does a really good job of a lot of misdirections, a lot of withheld information until the last few pages, until we really see the whole story unfold. And it does make it look like Batman really is a bad guy. And even based on the cover art here, where you see Batman standing over all of the fallen Justice League of America heroes, it's very easy to see why we're led to believe that. Ultimately, it turns out that Batman isn't as bad of a guy as we thought he was, but it's his own paranoia that is what really sets him apart from other books in the past. And I think Batman, definitely being the world's greatest detective, definitely being one of those characters who always has a leg up on his opponents, whether it be physically or mentally, it's cool to see that his overthinking actually is his downfall in this case, and that his best laid plans are used against him, and he's trying to defend the fact that he is kind of overly paranoid to the team, and it doesn't really work. And I like that the story ended on a somewhat negative note. I don't know what happens beyond this. I think it's safe to assume that everybody makes up and life goes on as normal, but this story contained within this trade at least portrays that Batman has been defeated, at least largely, and he leaves the Justice League, and it's kind of a dark time for the League, and I think that's really cool. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, so go back a second. What I really liked about this book was the portrayal of Batman's overthinking that caused downfall for everyone. So basically, Ra's al Ghul and his daughter Talia put up this evil scheme to break into the Justice League computers and discover that Batman has been keeping files on everybody and finding out their true weaknesses and their true fears. And in a very carefully laid out attack, Ra's al Ghul basically turns the Justice League against itself. For example, Wonder Woman, who is extremely competitive, is locked in this virtual reality simulation fighting against other people, basically infinitely, because she'll never give up. And the idea is that she'll physically and mentally be exhausted and she won't be able to break out of the cycle and come back to the real world. Superman loses the ability to read, and as the fact that his human counterpart, Clark Kent, is a newspaper reporter, that's kind of a big deal to him. Green Lantern can't see, and we find out later that he's an artist. And when he can't draw his constructs, he basically is powerless. And so on and so forth as we work our way down the League. The only one character that I did not like, that I think really almost ruined this book, honestly, is Plastic Man. He is a throwaway character who doesn't really do a whole lot until the very end. He has a couple very key roles and turnings, kind of turning the Justice League back, to the way they were. He does a couple important things that kind of right the wrongs, so to speak, and he fixes everybody. But outside of that, he's largely a really goofy, really weirdly drawn character that doesn't really match the dark tone of this book at all. And I'm not really sure why they felt the need to include him. I don't really feel like he was required, and I think the services that he ultimately provides towards the end of the book probably could have been done by some other heroes or done in a different way. So his unique ability to manipulate his fingers to make them really small, to go inside someone's ear, to poke at their brain, probably could have been done by somebody else. I don't think that was a skill that was uniquely Plastic Man-esque. And he just is really kind of, I don't know, it doesn't make sense. That's really my biggest criticism with this book. And Not to say that it ruins the story, but it definitely does bring it down quite a bit because he's such a bore of a character, and I just don't care about him. And I'm more interested in learning more about the inner workings of like the Martian Manhunter or Aquaman. Every panel that they spend on Plastic Man to me is a wasted panel that could be on somebody else. Outside of that, though, I think the book holds up really, really well. It was a very simple read, very enjoyable. I liked that Talia even had somewhat of a redemption at the last minute, kind of turning on her father, realizing that even she was being manipulated. So I guess the overall takeaway from the Tower of Babel, which definitely has connotations to the biblical Tower of Babel, is that, you know, there is a lot of self-recognition, there is a lot of redemptive arcs that kind of go on through this story. Towards the end of the book, when everybody understands why Batman did what he did, why he keeps these dark secrets on everyone, is kind of a violation of trust of the Justice League, and ultimately he leaves. He knows that he's going to be voted out, and the last page of the book shows them opening the doors, and he's gone. He is not with them anymore. And I think that's cool that he kind of falls on the sword and leaves, but in a sense, it kind of makes sense why he did what he did, why he had this fail-safe of knowledge, so to speak, across all of the other members. It's just unfortunate that it was used for such malicious ways, and it does kind of portray this very weird sense of trust between them. You know, Superman's like, well, I thought we're friends. If we're friends, why would you keep this rap sheet on me? Why would you have all these, you know, people don't think like that, but Batman does. He is, you know, the blinded by the analysis, blinded by the analytical, and it's his downfall. And even though he's not really the true villain, so to speak, in terms of it's not like he's intentionally going out of his way to manipulate members of the Justice League, it's his knowledge that is used against him and the rest of the team that ultimately drives him out. So I thought it was a really, really good story in of itself. I thought the art was really, really well done. I thought the dialogue flowed well. It's just that stupid Plastic Man. I think it kind of brings the story down. But I highly recommend Tower of Babel. If you guys haven't read it, hopefully you didn't watch a spoiler first, because I think it's a good story. And I think it does paint a lot of light in the human qualities, I'll say, of some of our favorite heroes, to see that even though they are faster than a speeding bullet and all these wonderful things that they do, they still have these deep, dark secrets and these deep, dark fears. And to see them played out for so long and so many pages, I think was really, really well done. With that, I'd like to close out this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you comment, rate, and subscribe, as I mentioned before, because Brent's going to be putting out some more great videos here very, very soon. And until next time, I will see you guys in the funny pages.